Shay. Welcome back to another one of my videos. Today I'm going to be drawing two more original characters, and they will be the first couple I've actually created. But I do have to point out, this couple is not part of any of my other existing character universes so far, and I more so just drew them because I wanted to practice drawing anatomy a little bit more. But I kind of love how they turned out, so I decided I'm actually going to expand on their character and background a little bit because I think doing that is kind of fun. Since I drew Willow first, I'm going to start by talking about her. Willow's personality is very easy to see just by how she is drawn. She is extremely confident in herself and loves to tease her boyfriend. She grew up in Florida but always wanted to leave the state because of how crazy life down there can be, and at 18 she left home with no plans other than to leave the crazy city that she had always lived in. She has two younger brothers and both of her parents are still around, and despite loving her family, she packed her car on her 18th birthday and just began driving with no plan. She made it all the way to Michigan before she found somewhere she thought she would enjoy living. Being from Florida, she had always loved the ocean, but also yearned for a quiet town to live in. Being the hippie that she is, she's always wanted to be surrounded by trees, but also still live near a beach. This is how she ended up in St. Joseph, Michigan. It's a small town of around 7,000 people with beautiful views of Lake Michigan. And for those who don't know, because it is a Great Lake, it is very similar in a lot of ways to how oceans are. And so that's perfect for what she wanted. And although it is much smaller than her hometown and much colder, St. Joseph offered the exact life that Willow had yearned for. With her savings, she moved into a small apartment, and she also got a job at a little store downtown, selling items like house decor, sweaters, jewelry, and little knickknacks. The shop was owned by an older Japanese woman, and it is also where she met her boyfriend, Riku. Now, Riku is a lot different from Willow. He is very shy and would rather spend his time playing video games rather than going to the beach. He thinks showing off his body at the beach would be too embarrassing, and similarly, he loves to work out and lift weights, but he's too nervous to go to a gym as he doesn't want to seem like he's showing off or whatever. He still lives with his parents though at the age of 19, so he just uses the home workout equipment that his dad keeps in the basement. Riku also lives with his grandma on his mother's side. His grandma moved from Japan to America when she was 22, where she then gave birth to his mother. Now his grandma owns the store that Willow works at, and Riku helps his grandma run the shop on weekends so that she can have the weekends off. Willow worked at the little shop for 3 weeks before she was scheduled for a weekend shift. When she finally was, she was surprised to see Riku in the office rather than his grandma. Riku, unaware of any new hires, was surprised to see an attractive girl his age working there. Unsure of what to do, Riku simply kept working and hoped she would do the same. He might have been too scared to approach her, but she, on the other hand, was not too scared to approach him. She was very excited to have someone her own age as a coworker. Even though she loved her other coworkers, she couldn't connect to the older women who worked there the same way she could with her own peers. Seeing Riku, she approached him and tried to initiate small talk. The ever-shy Riku, though, blushed as he tried to respond to her. There was no stutter in his reply, but Willow immediately saw his nervous blush. And as someone who graduated with a class full of loud and obnoxious boys, she had always had a sweet spot for the shy and quiet ones. She decided to go about her work as normal, so that she would not scare him away too much, but made sure to chat with him whenever he would occasionally come to check up on her. Throughout her shift, she was slowly able to learn that he was the grandson of her employer, and decided to keep that bit of knowledge in the back of her mind until her next shift on Monday. When Monday did roll around, she decided to go to Riku's grandma, Suki, sitting in the office where Riku had been sitting previously. She asked Suki to work more weekend shifts, and it's history from there. Willow began working with Riku every weekend and slowly chipped away at the wall he had built around himself, until she felt like they were close enough to invite him out on a date. Now, their first date was simple. Willow invited him to play mini-golf near the water, and she figured asking him to dinner could lead to a night full of awkward silences and forced small talk. An activity-based date was the way to go instead. It gave them both a chance to joke around with each other and also be a little competitive. Riku won in the end, so Willow offered to buy him ice cream as a reward. This led him to invite her on another date the next week, where he ended up asking her to be his girlfriend. She agreed, and they have been going strong ever since. As they got to know each other, Willow was able to talk him into going to the beach with her. And although he didn't like to show off his body, she very much did. She had him help her take pictures and did the same for him despite his reluctance. By doing this, though, Riku was slowly becoming more comfortable with himself and less shy in his own body. Now the couple is even considering moving into the same apartment, now that Riku no longer feels the need to hide in a home gym and is confident enough to work out in a public gym with Willow. And that's not to say that dating Willow has completely changed his personality. Instead, it's actually allowed him to show his personality as he has grown more confident. He is very much still shy and kind of bashful, but he's much more able to show off his interests and just be out in public because he is always with someone who he feels very safe around. And that is about all I have to say about their personalities. I'm not quite sure if I will bring them back in the future. I could see it being like a cute little comic book thing I can make about them, but I don't know. It's kind of hard. I realized that maybe it would be good to practice this, but it's hard to like draw someone and then also draw them again and have their faces look the same. That's something I definitely need to work on because I really struggled, especially with Riku, at making him look like the same person in both of his poses. I was originally also going to do a middle pose in the middle where they were going to be like a couple doing couple things, whatever. You see me start it, and I like how her drawing turned out, but I just, for the life of me, could not get Riku to look normal from a side profile, so I decided to scrap it. Maybe in the future I will redraw that, but there's no promises on my behalf, at least not as of right now. And another thing I want to mention, because I think this is kind of a common like issue people have in the art community, is I think I've really spent most of my time drawing humans as drawing women and not at all drawing men. I think Riku honestly is the first like man I've tried to draw that wasn't like an animal or very characterized I guess. But yeah, I really struggled with drawing a man, and maybe you'll notice that in my drawings. But I do in the end mostly like how he turned out, but you can probably expect me to try to practice that a little bit more in my next upcoming videos. And I think this kind of drawing is very helpful for me as an artist, especially as an artist who very much still has a lot to learn, in that it does help me practice like different poses and different kinds of people, but also it just helps me find different ways of shading and whatnot, because I did shading a lot differently with this drawing than I had with some of my other drawings, and I used different pens in Procreate, etc., etc. But this drawing took me a really long time. Like this drawing, I think has taken the longest out of all the drawings I've made on this channel, which is honestly just, it's, for me it was kind of baffling how long it was taking me, because it just doesn't seem like that difficult of a drawing. Like yes, there are poses and they're somewhat intricate, and I spent a lot of time shading, but there's no background. So the fact that it took me 13 hours to draw this little drawing, just kind of crazy. But you know, it's fun, so it's worth it in the end, at least in my opinion. But I think I've talked enough for one video, so I'm just going to go through and play some music and let you guys watch the ending of this drawing. And now I will show you the final drawings up close just so you can get a little bit finer detail on them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.